7th of August 2024. Obsolescence and EVs, electric vehicles. This here, folks, is a Hewlett Packard printer OfficeJet 3831. Now, I retrieved it from the dumping bay. It's on its way to the dump. Now, my laptop, which I have about 3 years or 2.5 years, it seems to be on the way out as well. But these are all disposable items. My mobile phones last about a year, and that's the little flip phones like the Doro, these ones here. I get a year out of them. They're cheap. They're only €68. So they're a disposable item. In fact, the battery in the phone lasts longer than the phone, because what happens is when you plug it in to charge it up, it gets damaged and gets into trouble. And also, if you're doing work with an angle grinder, the magnets in the speakers and microphones attract the dust, the metal dust, and destroys it eventually. So anyway, the point I'm making, most people understand obsolescence. Now, when you consider that my Fiat 1990 tractor is 1990, also 1990, and my excavator Hitachi is 1993, and I have a Ford tractor that I bought in 1977, and it was about 4-year-old. All give unbelievable service, but I mind them well. Now, the cars too are, some of them are great, some of them aren't. And there's different models. But if you're smart, you'll be able to shop around and find out and hear from mechanics what's going well and what isn't. So there are plenty of cars on the road approaching 15 years of age. So the thing is, what's happening with the EVs is the same as washing machines, which is a disgrace. The very best of washing machines, tumble dryers, and all that equipment, which is only minor faults, are being dumped out. The dumps are loaded down with them, and that is the most environmentally unfriendly thing you could be doing. They should be all repaired. Repairing is different to recycling. In recycling, you take the copper out of them, the metal, and you melt it down with huge emissions. With repair, you fix the bearing and leave it going again. So there's a drive among the woke left governments of the West to get away from that and to stop you having a thing for a long time. Now, the EVs are the same. The EVs have very little mechanical parts. They're not made that strong, but they have a battery which deteriorates unbelievably. So the idea of having a 12-year-old EV is out. It'll cost more to fix it than it would to buy a new one. And that printer there only cost me something about €69. No, or maybe a bit more now. You can correct me on that, I don't remember. We'd say it was €80. And then the cartridges for it to print are double the price. And there's a laser jet printer which only does black and white. They're supposed to be the last word. But the thing is, I also have a new Epsom stylus that I consider new, and it's now given trouble because the computer Windows 10 is not compatible with the printer. And I printed stuff with it a week ago, and when I went back to print on Monday, it wouldn't do it. Why? They put the software in that makes the printer obsolete. Now, a lot of people don't see that. But that's what's happening with the electric cars, folks. The other thing about them is some of the software that's in the electric cars is automatically becoming timed out. That means if you have a charger unit in your car, you plug it into the street to get it charged, that's all right. And then one fine day you go down and you find out that there has been an upgrade of the charger, and you have to pay maybe €2,000 or €3,000 to get your upgrade or your part fitted. Moreover, no mechanic can go near them. You can't store them with other cars. They're an unbelievable fire hazard. And there's talk of the insurance policies going up to 4,000 and 5,000 for ordinary holders, when they're only maybe 700 for the likes of me, 600 sometimes. So you see all of that. But with one thing and another, it's quite clear. They're a disposable item. The electric car is a laptop or an iPhone on wheels. And they have all of this gadgetry, which fools the motorist into thinking he needs it. I mean, if you have a laptop or a tablet or an iPhone, why do you need a big screen on the car? Years ago, you'd be fined by the police or the Gardaí if you had a television in the car. And yet you can have a screen now that you look down and examine it and you're not watching the road at all. And they had laws that you couldn't you couldn't talk on the phone, which I agree with, and you couldn't hold text on the phone, which is also dangerous. And now you can do over this and do this and that, just because it's perceived as green. But the problem is, there is a serious problem now. If you buy a new electric car, it could be obsolete in a year. The other thing, there's a good few Chinese electric cars, MGs are one make of them, around, and they'll really look lovely, there's no doubt about that. But all these electric cars are very heavy, are way heavier than a normal car. And these Chinese cars are all very fine, but there's a trade war between the EU, the United States and China. So what if you buy an MG now, and out here in January, the EU trade war steps up and they put an embargo on the cars coming in and also the parts for the cars. And then you're told, oh, I can't get that, we're sanctioned. I used to use products, or a type of tool, which came from Russia, and I can't get them anymore. So all told, the motorist is in for a rocky ride, but it's even more reason why not to buy an electric car. Now, what I would suggest anyone that's into electric cars or wants to find out, go online there. There's several videos there. And the people that make them give their names and their addresses. Everyone knows who they are, and they test them out. But it's rapid. There's one guy there took a fancy to a particular internal combustion car. He said, "I love that car." And he went in with his 3-year-old EV, and they wouldn't give him any allowance. In fact, they wouldn't take it in for nothing. So for those of you who love electric vehicles, I'd ask you the point. If I can get you a 4-year-old EV for €1,000, will you buy it? Because if I shop around, I'm thinking I might. Now you go on Dundee, you see them there, 4-year-old car, 15,000, great bargain. You ring up and tell him you'll give him 10 and he'll say, come up right away. Obsolescence is very important to understand. It's a feature of our modern throwaway world. If you had a bench saw there for cutting wood with a cast iron bed on top on it, it'd last 100 years. All you have to change is the motor. And so if the old vintage machinery is lasting forever. Nowadays, it's an aluminium tray stuck on plastic bolts. It'll do the job, it will work, but it won't be long till it's stuck it out in the dump with all the rest of the fittings. This is the ignorance of the green agenda, but it's great satisfaction to see the electric cars coming undone. My advice to anyone that has them, if there's anything going for them, get rid of them as quick as you can and get back into some kind of a diesel or a petrol car. But that's up to you. I wouldn't touch an EV with a barge pole, and I know a few people the same. Now, isn't it a funny thing? I did a video on vintage there a while ago, and the old Fordson tractor, that's the TVO green tractor with the man sitting out behind. I won't venture to give the model of it. I saw somewhere it's 47N, I don't know, but it had a crown wheel made from a worm gear with bronze, a big bronze thick wheel, that thick, and a worm gear. So I demonstrated before, if I can find my marker here. It runs this way, and there was a terrible growl out of them. But you couldn't pull them because you can't use a worm gear in reverse. While this shaft will drive the crown wheel, the crown wheel will not drive the shaft. And that means it couldn't be started with a pull or let down a hill. Whereas the modern car can, and the modern tractor. But I know for a fact the Nissan Leaf car cannot be towed. So here we have a tractor that became obsolete in 1950 with the very same trait as a modern EV Nissan Leaf. And I believe a lot of those electric cars cannot be towed because of the way they're connected. The regenerative, when you lift your foot off the throttle and there's a bit of momentum, it starts charging up the battery. So the wheels are connected to the whole lot, and you just can't tow that. But there you have a system that went obsolete in 1950, is back in with the green agenda in 2020, let's say. So are we going forward or are we going backwards? We'll see you back for something else, but this is a big problem that the software is obsolete. Remember again, just to emphasize what I said, that printer there is gone out long ago. It should have been dumped long ago. It's not, you couldn't repair it. Remember too that my Epson printer was working up to last week, and now the software of Windows has, I must have clicked into it. I didn't realize this was the case. It makes the computer unusable. It makes the printer unusable. And that appears to be happening any Windows print computer I get. So these are connected via Wi-Fi. So the point about it is, that could be where the thing is. The point about it is, if you had an old wire connected one, you might be better off. But it's obsolete because of a simple change in the software. And this is touted online there by several commentators. When they get you in the electric car, they control you every way they can. When they got you in the old petrol or diesel car, they didn't know what you were at. And there'll soon be devices on them to track you where you're going and count your mileage. Will people vote for that? Well, it looks to me they can't get enough of this stuff. I can only tell you what obsolete is. I don't like to see decent people getting caught with electric cars. But what I do love to see getting caught is these people who tell me, oh, you're wrong. Oh, they're a great job. Oh, they're the future. You're only a curmudgeon. You go out and get your 10,000 and try and buy a second-hand EV and see, will you be fool enough? You'll find many garages only too willing to get rid of them. They're a complete and utter disaster. I'm not one bit sorry. I predicted that from the word go. Good luck, folks. See you back. Thank you.